Hey, true believers, this is Brother Head. We're going to take a slight break from the Armageddon 2001 storyline just for an episode due to my own life being busy right now and having problems hooking up with my next guest. So we should be back next month with the Armageddon 2001 crossover, looking at the Flash annual. But for now, sit back and enjoy today's episode. Thanks.
Rehearsing and nursing a part. We know every card by heart.
Hello there, true believers. This is Head Speaks, a proud member of the Headcast Network family of shows. As usual, I am your host, Aaron Moss, aka Head. This is my mostly monthly Headcast, where I talk about comics, movies, role-playing games, TV shows, and anything else geeky that I want. So sit back and enjoy the ride. Let's begin.
What heights will hit? On the show, this is it.
Hey, true believers. As I mentioned in my little intro, I'm not going to have the Armageddon 2001 crossover this time just because, again, my life got busy this month and I had a problem connecting up with my next guest. But we should return next month on schedule. Well, the new schedule. But sit back, and today I'm going to start out with What's in Head's Long Box, with something that's not Armageddon 2001.
Faster than a speeding bullet.
In the great hall of the Justice League,
Spider-Man and his amazing friends.
the Justice League of America versus the Legion of Doom. This is
What's in Head's Long Box?
Dedicated to truth, justice, and peace for all mankind. The world's greatest super friends.
This month I'm going to look at a book you may have not heard of and you may have not seen on your local comic rack. What I'm talking about this month is a book called Hamilton vs. Burr, A Werewolf Tale. This is written by a buddy of mine, Jared Albrecht, one of my fellow co-hosts over on the G.I. Joe Real American Headcast. It's illustrated by Nathaniel Niles and Ace Wheely and Kenneth Solomon. Hamilton vs. Burr, A Werewolf Tale, it basically gives us the real history of, everyone's heard of the Hamilton vs. Burr duel, I'm sure. Especially if you're older like I am, you may have seen the Got Milk commercials. Back, they had a commercial for Hamilton vs. Burr. Funny story there. When I was playing that commercial, but it was a radio show that this kid was listening to, and it's like, who shot Hamilton? And the kid has a mouthful of peanut butter. He's like calling. He's like, "Rrr, Burr, rrr, rrr," and joking around. I looked at my grandmother and I said, Raymond Burr. And she looked at me like, Raymond Burr, he shot Hamilton? And I had to start laughing because Raymond Burr played Perry Mason, a show my grandma used to watch like religiously. So I just thought it's funny she didn't recognize the name. No, Grandma, it was Aaron Burr. But this story, Hamilton vs. Burr, A Werewolf Tale, tells the story about what really happened between Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton. Without spoiling anything, well, you know how the battle ends, but let's just say werewolves are involved, and I think Mr. Albrecht did a great job on the writing on it. He's a great writer. There's some real world mixed in with fantasy, and like at the very end of the story, the last page, he actually kind of gives a recap of each page and what was fictional on there and what was real life. I thought that was a nice little touch. But yeah, if you can buy it on Amazon.com, just do a search for Hamilton vs. Burr, A Werewolf Tale. You can get it for Kindle for, I think it's $3.99. Yeah, Kindle's $3.99. And if you want to buy a hard copy of it, go to Twitter or Facebook and look for the yard sale artist or Jared Albrecht. That's Alberich, the yard sale artist. and shoot him a message, and he can sell you a real hard copy of it, a physical copy, for I think it's $10. I was going to buy one, but we were talking on Twitter on somewhere at one time, and next I know he sent me one in the mail, signed even. So thanks a lot for that, Jared. I finally got around to reading it, and I enjoyed the story. It was a good story. I want to say I wish it was longer so we could read more of it, but there's only so much you can do with that. So yeah, I definitely recommend if you want a good werewolf story, a good historical fiction tale, check out Hamilton versus Burr, A Werewolf Tale, and tell them that Aaron sent you. Again, just a short little segment, just talk about that book real quick. Not much more really to say about it, so I'm going to leave that here, and let's go move on to our next segment.
Yo, Joe!
We'll fight for freedom wherever there's trouble. G.I. Joe is there. G.I. Joe, American hero.
And the masters of the universe.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Heroes in a half shell. Turtle power. Who you gonna call?
Thundercats!
Transformers. More than meets the eye. Autobots wage their battle to destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons.
Whatever the challenge, they are ready. The Centurions
Are the visionaries.
I am Dungeon Master, your guide in the realm of Dungeons and Dragons.
And now, Geeking with Head.
Now I know, and knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe!
Just a couple quick things here for Geeking with Head. First up, good news. Apparently it appears that Warner Brothers Home Entertainment has announced an upcoming Blu-ray release of Supergirl the movie, the International Cut, remastered in high-definition package with the rare director's cut on a bonus DVD. This was the 1984 movie starring the very beautiful Helen Slater as Supergirl. She came to Earth to be the last daughter of Krypton, and we follow her adventures as she fights against Faye Dunaway, who played the evil sorceress Selena. A lot of people like to take the piss out of this movie. I enjoyed it back in the day. I've enjoyed it a couple times since I've seen it. It's got Helen Slater. What can you go wrong? But Supergirl the movie is to be released. You can pre-order it on the WB shop, and it looks like it releases on July the 24th. That's when I need to get. I got a copy of it, but I definitely need to get this Blu-ray version. So yeah, look for Supergirl on Blu-ray, starring Helen Slater, Peter O'Toole, and Faye Dunaway. I don't think I need to say much more about that. If you're an older guy like I am, you know of the Supergirl movie. If not, I definitely recommend you checking it out. It's not the greatest thing on earth, but it was a good little movie, and I enjoyed it. What can I say? Now we go from good news to bad news? Sad news? I guess it would be falling under sad news. I just saw on Facebook today that one of the masters of the arts, one of the guys that I admire and look up to because of what he's done, Steve Ditko has passed away. I believe it was due to a heart attack. Steve Ditko was born November the 2nd, 1927. He died on June the 29th, 2018, according to Wikipedia. So actually he died like a week ago, huh? He was 90 years old. Steve Ditko was one of the co-creators of Spider-Man, Doctor Strange. Not only that, but he also helped co-create or revamp the Blue Beetle, one of my favorite characters. He created or co-created The Question, Creeper, Shade, the Changing Man, and Hawk and Dove, which is another group of characters I love. Again, Steve Ditko has been in the business. He's worked for DC, Marvel, Charlton. He's been all over the board. He's done a lot of good work. And yeah, I've just been seeing on Facebook the last day or so that he passed away, but it looks like he passed away about a week ago from this recording. It looks like, reading on Wikipedia, so he was found unresponsive in his apartment in New York City on June 29th. He died within the previous 2 days. He was pronounced dead at the age of 90. Wow, he died within the previous 2 days, which means that he sat there possibly for up to 2 days without no one knowing. For a great creator like Steve Ditko, I mean, he helped create the characters I mentioned, like I say, in Spider-Man, who is my son's favorite character. So it's just sad to think that, a creator like the man of this magnitude passed away and no one noticed for a couple of days. That's really sad. But Stephen Ditko, Steve, you did a lot of great work, and you've gone on to your reward, wherever that might be. As Kevin Smith says, that's a big bucket to win. He had a long life. Like I say, he was 90. So the man had a long life and I would say, fulfilling life as far as I'm concerned. I mean, he studied under Jerry Robinson, which was one of the Batman artists. He's done a lot of stuff in his life. Look up at the Wikipedia and read up on Steve Ditko if you haven't done so yet. Again, he's one of the founding, as I've talked about in a previous podcast, comics are my religion. He's one of the gods. Another one of the gods have moved on to another realm. Steve Ditko, you will be missed. And for some more Geeking with Head, we're going to move on from the sad and the death of one of the greats to something new going on. Apparently Walmart has once again started selling new comics. I mean, for a while they've had packs of some of the newer New 52 and Rebirth stuff, but now Walmart is selling comic books. They've got 4 titles. There's Superman 100-page giant, Batman 100-page giant, Teen Titans 100-page giant, and Wonder Woman 100-page giant. Justice League of America 100-page giant. I call it that Justice League 1 Wonder Woman because the first story's centered around Wonder Woman. Actually, it's just a Wonder Woman story. And in the previews, the next story arc is going to be just about Wonder Woman. So it's starting to look like a Wonder Woman book, which is fine because she could use a book. But let's call an ace and a spade, and a Wonder Woman book. But having said that, I have picked up one. I picked up the Superman 100-page giant just because it's Superman, and I want to help support the comics at Walmart. I think this is a good start. I've had some discussions on Facebook with people about this. Real quick, what these are: they're a 100-page giant comic, as it says. They're $4.99. And what it has a 12 or 14-page new story, and then there's 3 reprints from other stories. For instance, the Superman book has a reprint of Superman Batman number 1 from, I think it was the early 2000s, Green Lantern number 1, and the Terrifics number 1, which is a newer book. And then, like I say, the first story in here is a 12-page Superman story. I really enjoyed the Superman story. it's to be continued next issue. So when it's all said and done, it'll be basically a single 24-page story. I would like it better personally if the first story, the new story, was a full-length story, 22, 24 pages. But again, as I talked about in some of these Facebook groups when I've had arguments and conversations with people, these aren't for me. These aren't for the collector. These aren't for people that go and spend money at the comic shop. These are for the kids out there. Yes, I bought one. I'm helping support it. I think it's a great idea. But what it is, it's, as I've talked to people, it's hard to get kids into comic shops. It's hard, it's 5-year-old, 10-year-old, whatever. It's hard for him to talk to his mom and dad, take him to a comic shop. Comic shops are known as a seedy place. Just to illustrate what I'm talking about, I think I heard someone describe a comic book shop once as...
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy. We must be cautious.
Whether true or not, that's the reputation comic shops have, so it's hard to talk, for a kid to talk a parent into taking them to a comic shop. But everyone goes to the store. Even if you don't go to Walmart, everyone has to shop. So it's easier for a kid to pull a $5 comic off a rack, especially a thick one, because these are square bound, thicker books, 100 pages. It's easier to pull them off the shelf and say, hey, Mom, Dad, can you buy me this book? It's got 4 stories in it for $5. That's just over $1 a story. It's a good deal. And the Mom and Dad would be easier to buy this for them than, say, taking them to a comic shop. And the way I look at it, I mean, most of the people I know, the podcasters I know, people I've talked with around my age, they got started buying these things off the shelf. Either a spinner rack or a newsstand. Like I've talked about my own self, I started with a G.I. Joe number 58, picking it off the news rack. Around that same time, I also picked up the 3-pack at a Kmart, which is like a Walmart's, for, it was 3 comics in the package. I forget what it was now. It's been a few years ago. But between those, that's what got me started into comics. And where did I go to shortly thereafter? That's right, a comic shop to pick up back issues. So a lot of people I've been arguing with on Facebook saying, well, this will kill the comic book market. If you support this, you don't care about local comic shops. Yes, that's my impersonation of a geek. I say to them, BS, that's not true. In fact, like I just said, a lot of people started on the spinner rack and they go to the comic shops to get the back issues, to get more books. Walmart, right now, they've only got 4 titles. They've got a lot of these reprints, but they're not going to have back issues. They're not going to, in 2 months' time, they're not going to have issue 1 on the shelf. A kid picks up issue 2 or issue 3, or this issue 2 of the Superman 100-page comic. They pick it up. Hey, this is the second part. They need to find the first part. Sadly, you're not going to be able to find this in a comic shop probably until people start selling them to the comic shops. But the idea is there that was my comic falling on the floor. The idea is that they will go to the store to pick up back issues of other comics too. These back issues or these reprints they have. Well, I don't want to wait, 6 months for the story to end. I can go to the comic shop and pick up the back issues of it. Or I really like Superman. What else is he in? What else is Batman in? That's what got me started. I went and picked up some G.I. Joes. I found Transformers. It was the Headmasters, which led to the Transformers series, which led me to Transformers. I saw issues like Spider-Man. Oh, this looks good. Let me pick up this issue of Spider-Man. I saw an issue of Batman. Oh, this Batman looks good. Let me pick up this Batman. And that led to my comic addiction. So I think personally, I could be wrong, but I think that this is a good start. I think they need to have it in more stores. One problem I'm noticing with these Walmart comics is that it appears collectors are buying them and then turning around selling them on eBay for 2, 3 times, 4 times as much as the cover price, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of them. I think DC needs to flood the market with these, get them out to more than just get them, because I'm only in 3,000 of the 4,000 Walmarts or something like that. I could be wrong with the numbers, but it's not in all Walmarts. DC need to have these in all Walmarts. They need to put them in Target. They need to get these comics out. Like I've said, if you can't get the kids where the comics are at, get the comics where the kids are at. We need these in the stores. We need these in, And again, I know they got rid of them from the convenience stores. They got rid of them from Walmart. They got rid of them from all these places because the price point isn't high enough for that to be really a concern for them to stock these. I don't know a way around that issue, but personally, I feel we need to get the spinner rack back. We need to get the comic shelves back at the back at these stores. Get these comics out there where the kids are at, and I think it's a good start to helping bring in more readers. Because again, without new readers, the market's going to die eventually. Us old people, counting myself, we're going to die off one of these days, and we need new blood in there to keep these stories going. So I say bravo. Good job, DC and Walmart. We just need to expand this more, get to more stores, get more comics out there. Because one reason why, and especially in older days, why comics were valuable is that a lot of the older comics, they weren't thought of much of anything, so they were gotten rid of. So there wasn't a lot of them out there after, kids growing up, parents throw comics away. Superman, issue 16's worth a cut pretty penny because there's not a lot of those issues out there. So I think if you flip the market with these, not only do we get a chance of getting more kids with comics in their hands, get more people reading comics, which I think is a good thing. It's good for kids to read. But if you flood the market with them, it'll make these guys that are buying them and flipping them and selling them on eBay, it's going to make their comics worthless. They're not going to, well, not worthless, but it's going to be worth $5, not what they want to sell it for. So again, maybe it's just me, but I think this is a good deal. I'm glad that Walmart's doing this. Again, I think we need, and again, I've heard people on eBay say, well, these don't belong in Walmart, they belong in comic shops. As I said, most of the people I've talked with, most people I know, think that having these comics in Walmart is a good thing. Like I said, it'll get kids into the comic shop eventually. So, bravo, keep up the good job. We've had a little bit of everything on this segment of Geeking with Head. Some good news, bad news. So I think I'm going to end Geeking with Head here. And we've only had about a 20-minute episode. A lot shorter than normal, but I'm going to leave you just a short episode this time. I'm going to play a promo for Jared's comic, Hamilton vs. Burr. I talked about earlier in the episode. I'm going to play a little promo for that. Plus another promo for another friend of the show. Tom Panarese has a show called Pop Culture Affidavit. He's got a special segment coming up called It Came From Syndication, which highlights the best of syndicated television from the 90s, or 80s and 90s. I'm going to play a little trailer for that show, and then we'll end it right there. And we'll be back next month, hopefully with our regularly scheduled Armageddon 2001, the Flash Annual. Be sure to let me know what you guys think. Be sure to leave feedback, send me an email. You can email me at head@headspeaks.com. You can leave feedback on the Facebook page, on Twitter, at Headcast Network. I don't do a lot on Twitter. I should do more. Convince me of that. Send me messages. I'm on Google Plus under Headcast Network, I believe it is, or Headspeaks. It's under Headspeaks. Rate me on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcast from. Rate me, send me a review. I would love to hear from you guys. I'm going to keep begging until you guys do it. But let me know what you guys think about anything I've talked about this episode or previous episodes. I'd be glad to hear from you. But again, we're going to end it here. Have yourselves a good day. Thank you guys. Remember, listen to the promo, buy Jared's book. And let me see, next month we'll be back, I already talked about. Next week we should be back with Task Force X. After that we have Starman, Manhunter Adventure Hour. The first week of the month we have G.I. Joe, a Royal American Headcast. I've got something special lined up for this next month, along with our regular issue and comic, or cartoon. But join us back here next month for Head Speaks. And remember, Head has spoken.
Alexander Hamilton, Aaron Burr, If you're a history lover or a musical lover, you probably know about both Hamilton and Burr's rise to power in the early stages of American history and their infamous duel. But what if you didn't know the full story? What if one of them was a werewolf? White Rocket Entertainment proudly presents a 48-page full-color comic book, Hamilton vs. Burr, A Werewolf Tale. Written by Jared Albrecht, the yard sale artist, art by Nate Niles, colors by Ace Wheely and Ken Solomon, letters by Percival Constantine, and edited by Johanna Albrecht. Hamilton vs. Burr, A Werewolf Tale. Available digitally on Kindle and Comics Central, COMIX Central. Prefer a print copy? Hamilton vs. Burr, A Werewolf Tale, along with my other published works, are available at theyardsaleartist.bigcartel.com. That's theyardsaleartist.bigcartel.com. Or you can buy it directly from me, creator Jared Albrecht, the yard sale artist, at any of my Comic-Con appearances. Hamilton vs. Burr, A Werewolf Tale. Get your copy today. You won't regret it. Don't take my word for it. Here's what Ming Chen from AMC's TV series Comic Book Men had to say about it.
I really enjoyed it. A lot of great werewolf scenes in here. A lot of great... this is how I wish history would be told to kids. Books like Hamilton vs. Burr, A Werewolf Tale.
That's Hamilton vs. Burr, A Werewolf Tale.
In the annals of television history, there are TV shows and characters that changed our culture and helped define generations. These are not those shows. It's time to close up the bar, leave the war, and quit your yuppie whining so you can step on board the Enterprise D, run alongside the Hoff, stop time with your fingers, and introduce your family to the voice input child identikit, because this summer, Pop Culture Affidavit is taking you to the depths of 80s and 90s television with It Came from Syndication! For 7 weeks, I'll be taking a look at a variety of syndicated TV genres, from the lauded science fiction of Star Trek: The Next Generation to the "this was a show?" of Small Wonder. Along the way, we'll battle with the Thundercats, run through the Funhouse, give thumbs up at the movies, and have a very current affair. Pop Culture Affidavit presents It Came from Syndication! Coming July 11th to popcultureaffidavit.com and twotruefreaks.com.
You're just another face that I know from the TV show. I have known you for so very long.
Thank you for listening to another fantastic episode of Head Speaks. Hope you enjoyed it. If so, let me know. Drop me an email to head@headspeaks.com or visit our home at head.headspeaks.com. You can also visit and talk with me on Facebook and Google+, both under Head Speaks. You can also send an MP3 file with your thoughts and I can play that on the air. And you can also get more of me on my other podcasts. Be sure to listen to Task Force X, where monthly I look at John Ossinger's Suicide Squad and Paul Kuppenberg's Checkmate comics from the 80s and early 90s. Also, over on G.I. Joe, A Real American Headcast, my podcasting friends Ryan Daly and Kyle Benning, along with myself, are looking at all of the G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero comics, and related titles from Marvel and IDW. All of my headcasts are available on iTunes and Stitcher, along with the respective blogs and my main page at headspeaks.com. All comments, thoughts, and opinions expressed on Head Speaks are owned wholly by the speaker of said comments and do not express the opinions of Head Speaks, unless, of course, I'm the one making the comments. Head Speaks, Task Force X, and G.I. Joe, A Real American Headcast, are all part of the Headcast family. So join us next month for another wonderful episode of Head Speaks. Until then, I'll see you in the funny pages. Good night.